Support for this podcast comes from CLR Clear. For the annoying mess you're facing down in your home, you can fight the clean fight with CLR Clear. Battle against calcium buildup. Go toe-to-toe with toilet scum. Duke it out with disposal rot. The entire line of powerful formulas works hard to vanquish dirt, grime, and deposits all around your home. So KO the crud. Fight the clean fight with CLR Clear. Visit CLRbrands.com to learn more.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I finally did it. I finally got LASIK surgery. I was so sick and tired of my contacts and my glasses, but up until LASIK Plus came along, I was too nervous to do it. But thanks to their 20 years of experience in the industry and over 2 million treatments performed, I felt very comfortable. Not to mention, LASIK is all they do. It's their expertise, and the second-generation family-owned company made me feel very, very comfortable. I want you to have the same experience. So if you're treated in July, you get $750 off their Wavelight laser, plus they have guaranteed financing for every patient. Trust me, it's worth it.
Thanks for listening to the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon podcast. Be sure to catch us live every weeknight, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, 7 to 11 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio. Find your local station for the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon at foxsportsradio.com or stream us live every night on the iHeartRadio app by searching FSR.
Now let's get this party started.
You're listening to Fox Sports Radio.
Greetings. Welcome in hour 2 of the program on a Wednesday night. The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon coming to you live from the Farmers Insurance Fox Sports Radio studios. Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch. You can save an average of $470 on auto insurance. That's a lot of money for a quick phone call, don't you think? Average nationwide annual savings. Survey data, July to December 2020.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Beautiful. Savings survey. Get it on. $470. Mike Harmon alongside Dan Byer in for Jason Smith tonight as Jason rests up for what will be a crazy weekend. He's out on the open road, no doubt, trying to find, because I set him up 2 weeks ago, Dan, with a piece of information that absolutely blew his mind and really confused the hell out of most of our listening audience in America. Did you know Jason Smith, one of the greatest purveyors of and consumers of fast food in America? I think we can stipulate to that.
Okay.
The favorite of his being, well, the Arches. And I had found something that had been floating about in the interwebs and started showing up on my timeline, that there is a sheet cake available. Like if you were having a birthday at said establishment, that you could find a sheet cake. Someone tipped me off today. Maybe it's only where they have the play structures. Either way, I think that is what Jason is doing for spring break with his daughter and his wife, is going town to town and seeing on the open road how many sheet cakes he can find.
Oh, man. This is, you know what I love, and you brought back, there are a lot of things fast food wise from your memories as a child, but when you mentioned the playground, there are a lot of things on social media that get recycled and you see over and over. You're like, I just saw that 2 years ago. But any tweet about how dangerous the old McDonald's playland, playground equipment was, makes me laugh every single time because it is so true. Those things were death traps, yet we somehow thought that they were toys. It's amazing. But when you mentioned playground, that's where I went. But I don't know. I would try a sheet cake. Why not? Give it. It could be one of those hidden gems.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, it's $9. Picture Ronald on there, and you get it on. I just remember way too many fights when, the kids would be crawling through the tube, and then one of the kids would stop because they'd be looking down because they saw their parents. Mm-hmm. And the bigger kids would be like, get out of the way, and start shoving them. Now you got kids crying. Now you got mom or dad who are in no shape to climb up the ladder or try to fit into said tube or trying to get in there to help out. Yeah. No, and it would escalate quickly. Now you got families starting to fight. Kids are crying. My kids are just sitting there eating their fries and taking long, slow sips from their juice boxes and waiting to see what was going to happen next.
There was no way any parent was able to crawl up into the Hamburglar it's not even a ride. It's just the playground equipment because that was like the tube in the middle. Then you had to climb up, and then you like rotated around like in the hamburger, like where you would have to crawl, and they had bars around it. It was just absolute danger. But I remember a kid cracked his head open at one of those. Literally, one of my memories of a child. I remember this, Mike. The first Super Bowl I remember is first Bengals 49ers. It's the first one, Super Bowl 16, the first Super Bowl that I remember happening because I went to Jody Emanuel's birthday party that day that was at the indoor McDonald's Playland, and some kid cracked his head open. Like I just remember like a head full of blood, and for some reason, from my being 5 until 10 years old when I continued to play on those things, it never dawned on me that could happen to me. And now looking back, the playgrounds, how dangerous they were.
Well, it's appropriate you got to the villain aspect of things where you bring up the Hamburglar every once in a while. Maybe given my stature, some might compare me to him, especially if I start rambling a little bit. But we talk about the NCAA tournament and what makes for a good tournament, what makes for a good sporting event. We talk about movies. We just talked about The Breakfast Club. Why does it work? Because the principal, you hate him. Everybody identified with some authority figure, maybe within your own home, I don't know, maybe with your folks, maybe a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, whomever, or the principal or one of the teachers at your school where you're just like, oh, that guy, and that's why it worked, right? Yeah, you like the stories and the coming together of the kids that didn't know each other and what. I mean, it's a well taught, well crafted story. There's no question. But Paul Gleason makes it work for the NCAA tournament. And we can do this in every sport. Like, there's always a team that people love hate watching. And for football, for years, it was the Patriots. This year, the Patriots weren't interesting. People had a little bit of celebration that Bill Belichick only went 7-9 despite missing so many pieces to that team and forgetting about what kind of job they did to get to that point. That's fine. But in the NBA, we talked a little in the first hour about James Harden, guys like Steph Curry and LeBron James. Some of it just the longevity of their excellence gets you to that point. This year, most of the teams on a college basketball level that you would do that for, and I brought it up with Jerry Palm, and I don't know that I've ever anybody categorically shoot me down. I thought he wanted to like run through the phone and slap me upside the head. You've got Duke and you've got Kentucky. Obviously, Kentucky didn't belong, but Duke, you could have argued based on their record, hey, back end of the field, let them play in. Just because they were still above 500 overall, and this year being the oddball year that you could argue, he wanted none of it. He said, you don't need them. I'm like, all right, which is fine.
Yeah.
No, I fully respected the
Sure.
response, but it was more just all right, now the story going forward. And I look at the field, and other than the shots that we get of certain fans of teams, family members of teams, etc., I don't know that a villain has emerged yet.
No, and I think that the villains that you could possibly have seen have exited the tournament. You look at Illinois, who just, they had so much firepower, but Big Ten team, best team out of the Big Ten. We know everybody loves to pile on the Big Ten now. We see it. I think that they were one of the schools. Nobody's going to cheer for Ohio State if they go to the Final Four. So they ended up getting bounced from it. But usually what happens, Mike, is the undefeated team in the rare scenarios that we have them, they are the eyes. They are who we watch. And so when you have Kentucky like they were in the 2015 tournament and going on the run that they had that ended up them losing in the Final Four to Wisconsin that year, but it was still, you were watching Kentucky in that regional final game they had against Notre Dame. They were a must-watch team during that bracket, and you either loved them or you hated them. And a lot of times people are cheering for their bracket, but when you have that story, that sort of compelling story, you're brought in. And now Gonzaga's in that role as the undefeated team. And I just don't think people look at them as a villain. I actually think that there could be more people rooting for them to go unbeaten than what a Kentucky did 6 years ago, or what a UNLV team tried to do 30 years ago. Like, I look at Gonzaga. Remember, UNLV, was number one in the country. They were fresh off a national championship. They had so many personalities. They were so in your face. And so that pushed people away. And I don't think that you have that with Gonzaga. I think Kentucky's brand, like that Kentucky team wasn't, an in your face. It had Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, they had a bunch of guys, but it wasn't, there wasn't anything that you would be like, oh, I don't like that team. I don't like those players. It was just the Kentucky name that had you do it. I don't think that that's the case with Gonzaga. And I actually think that if it gets to a point, Mike, where you don't have maybe if Baylor ends up getting knocked out, Gonzaga is the only story. And I actually think that there would be people rooting for that story, considering what we've been through over the last year, wanting maybe some positivity. I don't think people are rooting against Gonzaga. I think that there are other spots in this tournament. If you want to find a villain, you can find one, but it's not with the Bulldogs.
You know what? As we sit here in the Farmers Insurance Fox Sports Radio studios, I think I've got a villain for you. But I mean, I would be remiss. Welcome in 600th affiliate of our vast Fox Sports Radio Network, 103.5, 1510 AM in Spokane. The Game, Gonzaga Bulldogs, the official home, is now part of the Fox Sports Radio Network. So we are not sucking up by doing this analysis. Unless maybe I am. Hi, Spokane. I can't wait to come visit. But the reality is, I mean, you also got Mark Few, who's one of those great stories, because we do this in all sports too, right? Here's your list of greatest to ... and you can finish the sentence in your head. And here's the opportunity. Right, here's the undefeated opportunity. There's some of that Indiana Hoosiers thing, right? Because there's still enough folks that are like, it's Bob Knight. So there's still that, maybe angst as related to Bobby Knight, and maybe because otherwise they're going to be popping champagne like Mercury Morris again. I mean that's where we're at. So I would suspect to some degree, just based on history. And let's face it, it's a basketball school. If a villain were to emerge here, it would be Michigan. Just maybe based a little bit of there's nostalgia and positivity about the Fab Five, and then there were people that didn't like the Fab Five. And didn't like the shift in basketball, that happened about that time. And I'm not making a sociological, grandiose statement in that. But, Juwan Howard has gotten into it with other coaches. We saw it when they played Maryland. And there's, you see enough of those clips looped together that you neglect to acknowledge what he's doing in that program. But they've also been a good program, right? It's not like he's brought them from the bottom of the barrel. Under Beeline, they won, right? They were in the mix, right? They were not, the bottom end of the Big Ten. So they've been around, hanging around. And I think it would be the hate watching to get that last Big Ten team out as much as Michigan itself. I think it still goes back to the conference things, much like when we watch the NCAA football playoffs, and leading up to that, you're hoping that there's a cannibalization that happens to knock multiple teams out. Not me, but a lot of America. It's like, I'm tired of the SEC and all of those conversations. And then when invariably, here we are, last team standing again, there just becomes that, all right, the fatigue that flows into it. And I think with this bracket, I mentioned fans and whatever. I mean, there's the positive of Sister Jean, and there's others that are like, all right, give me some other stories of fans and what's going on in the arena there. And things of that nature.
Yeah, the funny thing about Loyola to me is they're the team with the most Final Four experience.
Yeah.
There's when you want to talk about a Cinderella, I don't know how you can put them considering that they were the ones that were there 3 years ago. Like that's the crazy thing to me is for as much as you want to, it's a great story when you're really looking back on everything that was, the tournament. And I know it seems like it's a long time ago for people, but when they make it in 2018, there are guys on that team that are playing on this team or that were on that team. I think your Michigan point is really well put. They've also been in the title game, a couple of times in the last 10 years or so they would be back there. Juwan Howard, I always say the Fab Five gave me the worst loss that I've ever dealt with as a fan, the 1992 regional final when Ohio State lost to the Fab Five in overtime when they were freshmen. So I have no sympathy for them. I know I'm in for Jason, but I do think for us in media, either you went to Syracuse and want them to win or you didn't want them to lose. That would be the other one.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think your point with Michigan is great. The Loyola angle is just interesting because for as much of a Cinderella as they are, again, they have the experience. And, Syracuse and Michigan are the brands. I don't think Gonzaga is that brand to root against.
Yeah, Syracuse, based on the number of media members that are littering your timeline with things, I think would probably get there. For me, the next 2 nights here on Fox Sports Radio, I always look forward to opening the mic and having fun here with the guys. I got Bursch and Alex and obviously Brian Fenley on the update back there in the studio, and you and I as we bloviate on all these things sports related. I'm not looking forward to Syracuse talk. I'm not going to lie to you. I've had enough of it. Maybe they get a little bit of a different run this year because it's that father-son thing. Because notice how they were doing their media tour together today.
Yes.
Notice that. It's like, hey, let's soften it.
He was a better shooter than me.
Because Jim Boeheim, let's face it, he's put his foot in his mouth a lot this year. And in recent years, he's not, he's crusty Jim Boeheim. All of a sudden, he's got Buddy next to him. He's smiling. He's happy. He's a proud papa. It's the greatest thing in the world. So, yeah, all right, Syracuse is the villain. Nicely done, Dan. All of that to get back to search yourself, you know it to be true, like I'm in a Star Wars movie. He's Dan Byer in for Jason Smith. I'm Mike Harmon, having some fun with you. Coming up next, I know you've got to promote the next year, but sometimes you embarrass yourself. But first, hey, when you own a business, you're the owner of everything. Sales, finance, customer service. Fortunately, Indeed is uniquely qualified to help you really own hiring. Right when you sponsor a job post, Indeed's Instant Match searches through the millions of resumes in their database to deliver candidates whose resumes fit your job description, and they do it immediately. Then you can invite them to apply to your job right away. Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit. Yeah, I'm going to wear it next as my team hits social media in a really embarrassing way. That's next on Fox.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app.
What's up, everyone? It's me, 3-time NFL All-Pro Sean Merriman, and I have a new sports podcast called the Lights Out Podcast with Sean Merriman. This podcast is special to me as I get a chance to talk to some of the best who've ever done it on the field or the track. So whether it's talking to a Super Bowl champion or a NASCAR Cup Series champion, the Lights Out Podcast will bring it to you the only way I know how to. I'm giving you the best insight from the best who's ever done it. Listen to Lights Out with Sean Merriman on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Nope, it's from Geico, because they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a soap opera star.
Gracious me, my car has storm damage and I've had to file a claim. Could it possibly get worse? Will my claims team leave me for someone else? Someone less intense?
No. Actually, when you file a claim with Geico, you get your own dedicated claims team who promises to stay with you throughout the process.
Oh, I've never known such loyalty. I can't wait for the second season.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
Call 1-888-FARMERS and you could save on your auto insurance. It's better than using your phone to see if your post got any likes again. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Welcome back in Fox Sports Radio, the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon. Dan Byer in for Jason Smith tonight as we come to you from the Farmers Insurance Fox Sports Radio studios. Currently watching Utah just absolutely toy with the Brooklyn Nets as part of the Wednesday night slate of NBA action. We'll get a full rundown from Brian Fenley in a couple minutes. Dan, you've had an interesting offseason with your favorite team's quarterback, right? I mean, Russell Wilson, trade rumors. Does he want to leave? If he were to leave, here's 4 teams he could go to. Celebrating Chris Carson's new deal last week, which seemed odd given all the rumors about where everybody is, unless he was just happy that his man got the bag. But you've still, I think, had a better offseason related to your quarterback position with the Seattle Seahawks than perhaps mine in Chicago. Not only did they not land Russell Wilson, no. Now they're taking to social media to say, we got our guy. So here's a picture photoshopped on Twitter at Chicago Bears, Andy Dalton in a number 14 uniform that says QB1.
The great thing about the circus that hit my team was the actual circus never ended up coming to town.
Not yet.
It was crazy. Like there was no show, there was no trade. Nothing really changed. In your case, you bought tickets to the show, and boy, were you disappointed. Like that's what it is. You went to the big top, and you got anything but a big show. When I saw the picture of Andy Dalton, and it's. I feel like sometimes there are guys, there are quarterbacks that get bad raps or that maybe they're easy to pile on to.
Sure.
Andy Dalton's had his playoff struggles, but he did take the Bengals to the playoffs and
5 times.
Had a nice career in the NFL and a career that keeps going. But when you go to spots like when you're the backup quarterback at Dallas and you're put into the spot of having to take over for Dak Prescott, there's going to be some scrutiny there. Now you go to Chicago, who's been searching for a quarterback forever, and now you have that put on you after they were thought to be in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. Yeah, like it you don't want to say it comes with the territory, but for some reason it comes with the territory a lot with Andy Dalton. So it's not a personal thing with Andy Dalton. But Mike, the first thing I saw that I thought of when I saw that is there's not going to be one person that buys that jersey for a lot of different reasons. 1-year deal. It's Andy Dalton. You want to find your quarterback of the future. There's all that's with that. But that picture did nothing to get any Bears fan excited. It did nothing for me, and I'm not a Bears fan.
2,200 retweets, 8,800 quote tweets.
No.
18,500 likes. And some of the comments I can't even read here. I can't even get here.
The ratio.
Here's one that's good. Quote, I'm sure the guy in charge of social media marketing has no say in who the Bears have as QB. But blankety blank, it's like we're boasting that we have Andy bleeping Dalton. Are you bleeping kidding me? Hey, he's your guy. And based on his press conference, right, he said, I came in to be the starter. Now, the problem is that you paid him $10 million, and you already have a guy on your roster in Nick Foles that you're paying, like a low-end starter. So now you had to do that. Then you had to let Kyle Fuller go. You're saying Akeem Hicks can go find himself a trade partner. So you're losing another couple of pieces on the defense, which also struggled at times, right? And you can blame some of the offense. Look, the fall guy, going back to the old Chris Carter comments, you got to have a fall guy. Chuck Pagano was the fall guy. Hey, he wanted to retire. No, he didn't. You guys just didn't have the guts to get rid of Pace and Nagy. That's why we're in this situation. But for Andy Dalton, he's a victim of circumstance. I got no problem. And good for him on getting his giant satchel of cash. It was just horribly spent, particularly when you start looking and breaking down, what the team was. And obviously they weren't going to bring Trubisky back. And I make no apologies. My jersey is on order of a nice Trubisky Bills Bills, my two favorite quarterbacks in the National Football League, I'll have you know, Josh Allen and Mitchell Trubisky out there. Two guys I have backed when everybody hated them. And then when people came on to Josh Allen, I'm like, no. You ain't coming on my bandwagon. Get out of here. I was here when you didn't want him. I saw what was there. And then they'll run to the next guy. But when we look at what the Bears ended up doing, it's like, look at what the other contracts are. We talk about Joe Flacco. Do you want Joe Flacco? No. But he got a contract that makes sense in this marketplace as you're going forward. Because how much better is Andy Dalton than if Joe Flacco were to have to quarterback for a while at this point in their careers?
You know, it's amazing for me, Mike, just with not even of the Bears' quarterback history as a team, but just you mentioned Ryan Pace, of their history of what happened the last time they, signed a quarterback like this when you were looking for that answer at that position, and that was Mike Glennon.
Yeah,
and to have that scenario, I know that they were sitting at moved up to 2. They were sitting at 3 and then moved up to 2.
Yeah, and the Glennon thing, just to give it some context for folks, the optics of it were worse than the reality, right? It was really just a 1-year deal, but when it was put out as to, hey, you signed him for 3 years and what was it, $46 million or whatever, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, no. He went off on his merry way and got another bag from Lovie Smith.
Sure, but to your point, it makes it even more of the point with Andy Dalton, who's there on a 1-year deal.
Yeah,
where like if you're looking for your quarterback of the future, why would you put it past Ryan Pace to not draft someone? And I know they're at 20 now, and they're not at 3 with the ability to move up to 2, but. I would say, and at that time we didn't know about Patrick Mahomes. We didn't know about, Deshaun Watson and the play that he had, taking away everything that's going on with Deshaun Watson now. Point being is there at least was some hope and excitement. And even though the trade that they did, some people had their heads scratching of why you moved up one spot. It's just it's different to now try to sell this. Especially when there's a move that it was previously done where you didn't stick with the veteran, and now you're trying to make us believe that this was the plan all along. After report had you going after Russell Wilson, and then Andy Dalton's got to come out in his press conference and say like, "Well, I was told I was going to be the starter. That's why I signed here." Like it just is. It's a mess, and it's a tweet. No big deal. But who are they fooling when they put quarterback one? He may be their starter. But to sit there and say, like, he is our guy, I just think they didn't read the room.
He's our one-year answer. And if he really outperforms, we'll sign him to another 1-year deal. And if everything breaks right, no, it's just a lot of if statements here for a lot of connecting the dots. I also saw a picture. I'm trying to rediscover it here, whether it was on Instagram. I know I texted it to Frostberg earlier, and we had a good laugh on it. It was also Bears branded because it had Andy Dalton in boxing gloves. As if he's ready to fight for your heart, Chicago.
Listen, I wish him well. Andy Dalton seems like a really good guy.
Oh no, it's not the guy.
If he went to Jacksonville and if they didn't have the number 1 overall pick and was whatever, we would just be like, all right, Andy Dalton's in Jacksonville, no big deal. But when you go to Dallas, when you go to Chicago, and you have the roles that you did, there's going to be scrutiny that comes with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, he takes the deflections here. Right, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, it's known. People are anxious about it. Look, even this was a report that came out because with the Bears and their little, here's their CV, right? Here's their history. Here's who they are. And for Ryan Pace, the last line under his headshot had for the longest time said he recently signed a deal to stay through the 2021 season. They updated that to take that line away. So that's no longer in there. So it's like, okay, is he here long term? I mean, because we mentioned the trade for Trubisky that everybody gets excited about. At the time, Watson should have been the guy. Right? We didn't know about Patrick Mahomes translating as he has, and we'll watch that unfold. But people get excited. The 49ers celebrate. I remember the cackling from John Lynch and all those guys. They got Solomon Thomas. They didn't re-sign him.
Yeah.
And he was never anything but a bit player for them. So the winners were the Saints because through conference of draft picks, they got Alvin Kamara out of the deal.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, in the moment, and the narrative lives on for the Bears, still looking for that guy since Sid Luckman.
That's way before me.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
Well, you guys, it finally happened. I got LASIK surgery. It took me 39 years to feel comfortable making this decision because, well, your vision is important and you only get 2 eyes. But thanks to LASIK Plus, I can see clearly. I don't have the pain and irritation of contacts anymore, and I don't have to wear glasses. I'm only going to wear glasses now that are fake glasses because LASIK Plus changed my life. That's right. They're the leader in laser vision correction in the U.S., over 20 years in the industry, which is why I went with them because I didn't feel comfortable with anyone else. They have performed over 2 million treatments, and LASIK is all they do. So they focus on that. That's their expertise. It's a second-generation family-owned company. I felt very comfortable with that, and it has literally changed my life. I am so happy. LASIK Plus, you guys, I want you to feel the same. If you're tired of contacts or glasses, get in on this. If you're treated in July, you get $750 off their first Wave Light Laser. Plus, they have guaranteed financing for every patient. I'm telling you, do it now. Your life will be changed.
The Jaguar F-Type doesn't just go from point A to point B. It takes you places few will ever experience. Climb into the driver-focused cockpit. Start the engine with a simple push of a button. And suddenly it's just you and 575 horsepower. 8 gears shifting. The agile suspension hugging the road. The rest of the world just melting away till everything else becomes a blur. And while the engine is a symphony in itself, feel free to lose yourself in your own soundtrack with the available 825-watt Meridian surround sound system. The Jaguar F-Type, an exhilarating combination of design and performance, makes it like no other sports car in the world. Learn more at JaguarUSA.com.
Mattress Warehouse knows that buying a mattress can be tough. With so many choices, where do you start? Introducing Bed Match, a patented diagnostic system that determines your pressure points and recommends the mattresses that are best for your individual sleep needs. And it's found only at Mattress Warehouse. Come try Bed Match at a Mattress Warehouse near you. Visit sleephappens.com for locations and get free next day delivery on select purchases.
Mattress Warehouse, sleephappens.com.
Coming up soon, we're going to play The Feud. That's right. Dan Beyer is in, and he's got one prepared. So we'll hear a tease on that in a moment. But we've got the Indianapolis Colts today. T.Y. Hilton goes back $10 million. We talked with Jason La Canfora. He kind of echoed thoughts that I had about Juju Smith-Schuster's contract when that got signed. Dan, just kind of the familiarity and the salary cap being a huge kind of enticement of, all right, I go and I have a good year again, right? With Smith-Schuster, he had 97 catches last year. Obviously, T.Y. Hilton's had some injuries, and the Colts trying to make sure they have that next piece. I mean, Phillip Rivers in his final year, there were some moments, but they started to rely more on the run game. Now they bring in Carson Wentz, reunites with Frank Reich. Quote, was it going to be a draft pick? Honestly, I think Chris and I were thinking somehow we were going to figure out how we were going to be able to draft the quarterback of our future. And then this thing came with Carson, and it fell into our laps, talking about Chris Ballard and this conversation with Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback, that Carson Wentz fell into his laps. He's got a reclamation project, and there's a lot of nice pieces there. T.Y. Hilton's a guy that I have a question mark. I like those young receivers that they've drafted. But with Carson Wentz, you're also looking at a reclamation project. I think to assume that Frank Reich is immediately able to fix whatever went wrong in Philly last year, I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Well, I think that you're right. I think that it's fair to say that it's not a given that Carson Wentz will return to his MVP form. There seems to be a lot of scar tissue. Whether it went away now that he's out of Philadelphia, that remains to be seen, and that's part of what you're saying. I just get a kick out of Frank Reich being like, wow, this thing fell in our laps. What? The only team that was connected to Carson Wentz for the last 4 months were the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
And then when the market came to be, the only team that was connected to Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles were the Indianapolis Colts. So it's nice for Frank Reich to say that, yeah, we're looking to draft a quarterback at that time. I mean, heck, we just made fun of the Bears for putting on an Andy Dalton graphic of him being quarterback 1, and they picked 20th. Okay, they're ready to say Andy Dalton's our guy. The Colts were going to pick 21. So what were they going to do? Was it going to be Jacob Eason going to be their guy to start their season? Like, it's just, I don't buy that at all. You knew that you were going to get Carson Wentz. You weren't going to draft a quarterback in the future because you were picking 21. Just wasn't going to happen. I know you gave up some picks to get Carson Wentz that maybe you could have tried to trade up, but I'm sorry. I just don't think that's the case. The Colts were the only team that were connected to Wentz this whole time.
And they can hang a banner for his arrival right now. Look, there's a lot to like about what they have. I'm just curious to see, was he able to shed everything there? Because if you got a guy who suddenly has competition for his job and quits, because that's the report, that basically he shut down.
Yeah.
That's not my QB1.
I'll quick to just say this. They will commit to running the ball more than they did in Philadelphia. I think that was a big, big mistake this past season with what Philadelphia and other offensive line issues, but they did not commit to the run like they did during their Super Bowl run, and I think that you will be able to do that in Indianapolis more so that may take some heat off Wentz.
Absolutely. He's Dan Beyer in for Jason Smith. I'm Mike Harmon. You can call 1-888-FARMERS. You can save a whole lot of something on auto insurance. It's the time you've all been waiting for. There will be 10 answers on the board. And it's time to put on your dancing shoes. You know what? I'll go do that right now. That's coming up next here on Fox.
Be sure to catch live editions of The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon weekdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on Fox Sports Radio and the iHeartRadio app.
Call 1-888-FARMERS and you could save on your auto insurance. It's better than using your phone to see if your post got any likes again. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Trucker Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Welcome back in. Fox Sports Radio. Still watching an absolute disaster. We go to the fourth quarter. Utah up 29 points on Brooklyn. It's almost like watching that Laker game against the Pelicans yesterday. Mike Harmon alongside Dan Beyer, the Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon, coming to you from the Farmers Insurance Fox Sports Radio studios. Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you can save a bundle on your auto insurance. All right, everybody put on their shoes. Everybody got limbered up. Dan, take her away.
We got to play the feud. Top 10 answers on the board tonight. Mike Harmon is here. Ryan Bershinger, the Big A, Alex Teichert, and Brian Fenley make up the Fox family. 3 strikes and a pass available. If you don't know the answer, you can use the pass, but you can only use it once. It can only be used by one player. Guys, top 10 answers, as I mentioned. The conferences that are remaining that are represented in the men's NCAA tournament. 10 conferences remain. I want to know who they are. Mike Harmon, we start with you.
Well, they're my conference, so I'll take the Big Ten.
All right, show me the Big Ten. There they are, Michigan, the representative. Let's go over to Ryan Bershinger, our executive producer.
The Pac-12. Sorry, Fenley, I'll take that one.
He went straight for the number one answer. Show me the Pac-12. There they are with their 4 schools, Oregon, USC, Oregon State, and UCLA. Over to our technical producer, the Big A, Alex Teichert.
Dan Beyer, you know you're being very generous when you say that we all have a chance at a pass. We all know it's called the Alex Teichert pass in this game, but thank you anyways. I'm going to go ahead and show my strength in the March of Madness, even though I did 0 brackets this year. I'm going to go with the SEC, Dan.
All right, show me the SEC.
That's right,
3
baby.
3 for 3, Alabama and Arkansas. Over to Brian Fenley.
I'm going with the ACC. Florida State knocked out my alma mater.
Show me the ACC. There we are, 4 for 4. All right, now this is getting fun. Second time around, back over to Mike Harmon.
Now we get over into the madness of it all, aren't we? I'm going to go. Well, I said the Big East.
Show me the Big East. Yeah, they doubled up with Villanova and Creighton in the Sweet 16. Again, looking for the conferences remaining in the men's NCAA tournament. We're 5 for 5. Pass is still available. No strikes. Going over to Ryan Bershinger.
Oh, boy. Okay. How about The Missouri Valley Conference.
Show me the MVC. There they are, Loyola of Chicago.
Right, okay.
They're champs of the Valley. Over to the Big A.
Dan, you know I'm a loyalist to this country. Give me Conference USA here.
Conference USA. Is it Conference USA?
Oh!
No! Our first strike over to Fenley at the news desk.
The West Coast Conference, Gonzaga. Shout out to our new affiliate in Spokane.
Show me the WCC. There it is.
Really
all right.
well done.
Over to Mike Harmon.
Oh, what do I got? I'm trying to think about my bracket. You know, because through the first 2 rounds, I'm second among all Fox hosts. And I'm telling you right now, you might as well use that as kindling because it's going to hell. Did we say we already said the SEC, didn't we?
We got Pac-12, SEC, ACC, Big East, Big Ten, West Coast Conference, and the Missouri Valley Conference.
Do I have a Big 12 remaining?
Show me the Big 12. There they are, Baylor.
That's
over to Ryan Bershinger. There is a pass still available.
Oh, geez. Okay, let's go with. Is the Patriot League still around? The Patriot League.
Okay, is it the Patriot League? No, the Patriot League is not represented. Big A, you have a pass available. Game is on the line. We need 2 answers.
Dan, we will not let this thunder drop with me. I'm going to go into the powers that be, Brian Finley. I'm using the pass.
All right, the American Athletic Conference, Houston, the American.
That counts as the USA, no?
Yeah, I know. Leaving it up to Brian Fenley for the win. It's do or die.
Come on, Brian.
Sudden death, Brian Fenley.
I was literally going to say the American Athletic Conference with the University of Houston, the 2 seed. So you took my answer, Dan. I think you read my mind. That was the answer that I was going to provide.
Well, you got to give us an answer,
Don't
though.
stall!
Let's go with what other Power 5 conference have we not talked about? I think we've hit all the 5 Power 5 conferences.
We're running out of time.
5 seconds.
The Atlantic 10.
I live next to Summit.
Is it the A10? No, it's not.
Oh,
I heard
forgot
Sean,
about
man.
Oral Roberts.
Yes.
The rich and powerful want us to think the economy is a line on a stock market ticker. That's wrong. The economy is powered by us. It's what we create, what we buy, what we need. President Biden has proposed bold public investments in jobs and families, but more is needed. We need housing, healthcare, caregiving, action on the climate crisis, and millions of good-paying jobs. This is our moment to finally unlock prosperity for all of us. For more information, go to prosperus.org. That's prosperus.org.
This is Miami's own DJ EFN, co-host of the Drink Champs podcast on the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Every week, Nori and I sit down with the most legendary artists, producers, and icons in the music industry and the culture at large. So if you like to hear some legendary stories, learn some hip-hop history, or just want to have a good laugh, make sure you go to subscribe to Drink Champs on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.